online. We're going to wait a few minutes for some people to come in. If you have any comments or questions, you can feel free to send them to coastalrm@calipa.ca.gov.
Since we have such a small group of folks in the room, welcome to those of you that are on the web. I'm not sure how many of you are out there. There's lots of smoke, and I'm sure that travel is not easy. We have the next couple of hours to talk about the draft tribal consultation policy that the water boards have put out. It is out currently for review. This is the final scheduled noticed meeting. We've held meetings in at the annual tribal conference in San Francisco. We have talked to folks in Reading. This last week we were at Rincon, and today is the last posted noticed meeting. Because our Southern California meeting was a little compromised because of the issues with the fires, power was out in the location we were supposed to be at, so we were at a fire hall. But we may go back to Southern California to have another meeting. My name is Gita Kapai. I'm the Director of Public Participation for the Water Boards. I'm also the Tribal Liaison and wear many hats. With me, I have
Angela Raby, also with the Office of Public Participation.
Lily Weaver with the Office of Chief Counsel.
Since there's just a handful of folks here, I'm going to pass around a microphone so you can identify yourself. Those of you on the phone or on the web will not be able to participate verbally. However, you can put comments in to this email. Hopefully you can see it. It is coastalrm@calipa.ca.gov. We'll be monitoring that periodically through the meeting, checking to see if you have any comments or questions. Because we don't know who's out there, if you could indicate in your email who you are. We're also going to have folks from our Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment give a brief presentation on their draft policy as well towards the end of our presentation. Let me...
Roving mics over there.
Hi, I'm Johanna Marty, and I work for the State Water Board in the Clean Water and Drinking Water State Revolving Fund program.
I'm Kevin Marti. I'm an Associate State Archaeologist, the same program.
Hi, I'm Wendy Pierce. I work for the State Water Boards. I am in the Division of Financial Assistance, Cultural Resources Specialist.
Oscar Serrano, I'm a Principal Engineer for the Calusa Indian Community Council.
Craig Johns, California Resource Strategies.
Wes Smith with the Environmental Health Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment. It's a long acronym.
Okay. Thank you. I'm just going to check the email. And there's nothing yet. I'm hoping there's folks out there. We'll find out. So we'll start. So a little bit of an overview. Those of you that are part of our family know this stuff, but it's good to go over it a little bit. So we're going to talk about tribal engagement. We're going to talk about the Water Board's draft tribal consultation policy, take comments and questions, and then we're going to go through our OEHHA, there's an extra H there and no E, OEHHA tribal consultation policy overview, and then a wrap up. So the structure of the water boards, we are part of CaliPA, the California Environmental Protection Agency. There's the governor, CaliPA. There are various boards and departments under CaliPA. We've got the Air Board, Department of Resource Recycling and Recovery, or CalRecycle. We have the Department of Pesticide Regulation, Department of Toxic Substance Control, Office of Emergency Health Hazard Assessment, and then there's the water boards. So the California State Water Resources Control Board and the 9 regional water quality control boards. So this document is meant, so for those of you that may or may not know, there is a CaliPA tribal policy. It was revised in 2015 to include the AB 52 language, which is when a state agency is CEQA lead agency, then they have responsibilities for tribal engagement, tribal consultation, and it sets forth some of that information. There is also a tribal protocols document that has been put out by CaliPA. This document that we are presenting today is meant to supplement the existing CaliPA policy, which is more broad and overarching. This one is water board specific. It's meant as guidance for staff on how to work with tribes and how to engage. Our board, we have 5 sitting board members. They're appointed by the governor. They serve 4-year terms. We currently have a vacancy. Our vice chair, Steve Moore, recently stepped down to take another position, and so we will be recruiting for that. There's new administration, so stay tuned. Felicia Marcus is our chair. She has a history of working with California Native American tribes. She worked as regional director at the at USEPA, and in her role there set up the RTOC, the Regional Tribal Operations Committee, and has a longstanding history of working with tribes. The water boards. There is one state water board, 9 regional water quality control boards. These are based on major watersheds throughout the state. We have about 2,000 employees statewide. It was created in 1967 by the state legislature. And our 9 regional offices, some of them have rather large areas. And so our Region 5, our Central Valley region, has 3 office locations. We have Redding, Fresno, and Sacramento. Similarly, Lahontan region encompasses much of the state, and so they include an office in Victorville and South Lake Tahoe. Our mission is to preserve, enhance, and restore the quality of California's water resources and drinking water for the protection of the environment, public health, and all beneficial uses, and to ensure proper water resource allocation and efficient use for the benefit of present and future generations. We have a division of water rights. We have financial assistance, some of these folks are from, drinking water, water quality, and enforcement activities. Our drinking water program came over to the water boards in 2014. Previously, they were part of the Department of Public Health. Is this mine as well? Yes. What does the water board do? We ensure, well, we have divisions statewide that we develop statewide water quality protection plans and policies, establish water quality standards, we allocate service water rights, regulate and ensure drinking water safety, set drinking water regulatory standards, coordinate with our regional water quality control boards, and implement the Federal Clean Water Act and Porter Cologne Water Quality Control Act. The regions are our eyes and ears out there. So they develop and enforce water quality objectives, develop basin plans, issue waste discharge permits, determine compliance with requirements, and take enforcement actions against violators. They also monitor water quality. We have a number of tribal engagement activities. We're working on waste discharge requirements, suction dredge mining. We've had many conversations on that activity. Total maximum daily load implementation, Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. There's a lot of interest in SGMA. We've recently worked with San Luis Rey group, 4 tribes there on a legislative remedy to modify some language so that they were covered under SGMA. We've been working on dam removal, specifically up in the Klamath. We also work on FERC relicensing. As I mentioned, there's cannabis small irrigation water use water right and a cannabis cultivation general order. It is currently undergoing some amendments. The comment period for that is the end of the month. And we also implement the Drinking Water Safe State Revolving Fund. And we're currently working on beneficial uses and basin plan amendments. So as some of you may or may not know, in 2017, as part of the Mercury Amendment, language was added to that gave definitions for cultural beneficial use and tribal subsistence fish. And those now comes the hard part of designating water bodies, and tribes are very active working with our regions on figuring out how that happens. So again, basin plan amendments are done triennially. Various regions are at various stages of that process, and having conversations with tribal governments on how to designate water bodies with these uses. We also work on statewide policies and plans. If I say something wrong, please correct me. And I will turn it over to Angela, and I'll go monitor the screen there.
As Geeta has mentioned, our policy is intended to supplement the Cali EPA policy. It mirrors it very similarly. The purpose of another state agency developing a tribal consultation policy is to act as a guide for our staff when working with tribes, specifically on consultation. as well as affirming our continued commitment to building government-to-government relationships with tribes. Our policy statement is to develop effective communication with all California Native American tribes that will allow for meaningful participation and input while developing and revising the Water Board's regulations, rules, policy, programs, and plans that may impact tribes, such as that list, while it's not exhaustive of all of our work that we do with tribes. As well as continuing our commitment to meaningful involvement with tribes by recognizing tribal culture, history, involvement, and water concerns. Some guiding principles that are separate in our policy that are not included in the Cali PA policy are to commit to building and strengthening sustaining effective government-to-government relationships between the water boards and California Native American tribes, understanding and recognizing that no one tribe speaks for another, nor do they speak for California Native American tribes as a collective, communicating with tribes in a respectful and considerate manner, recognizing the cultural resources of tribes regardless of where they're located. Included in the Water Board's Tribal Consultation Plan Action Plan is to provide training for our staff on tribal cultural competency that will improve consultation efforts, as well as working on developing a supplemental guide for Water Board staff in carrying out consultations with tribes, and surveying our staff to see what they would need in terms of a consultation supplemental guide that would be helpful. Providing training for Native American tribes on Water Board's programs, permits, and policies, and continuing to assist the eligibility of Native American tribes for Water Board's programs and financial assistance. The last two are in conjunction with one another, is providing a consultation update to the tribal liaison. So after a consultation has been completed, staff would be required to submit a update to the tribal liaison on how that consultation went, and then working with our regional boards and divisions to have a tribal coordinator within each of those regions. Included in our policy is a consultation dispute resolution. So if a tribal official feels that Water Board staff are not meeting the guides of this policy, they can submit a written concern to the tribal liaison, who would work with the tribal official and Water Board staff to come to a mutual agreement. This is our timeline. As Gita had mentioned, we've been to a few different workshops, held them in Reading, Rincon, and now here. We were also at the annual conference. We are considering adding another Southern California workshop, working with Rincon to do that at their facilities. And then,
So I'm just going to interject. We did get one comment from Eagle Jones. He's on the web, and indicated that he strongly recommends that we have another Southern California workshop, which we will commit to doing. We will notice that very shortly. Look to see when we can do that, probably in the next few weeks after the holiday, but before the next holiday. So sometime either the last week of November or the first or second week of December. So watch for that. We will post the notice and make sure we contact all tribes. Go ahead.
and I know we got another comment from Josh Sims, but I was gonna wait till we get to the comments, just because I know it's a little bit more, which is coming up. So if you do have comments and you'd like to submit them, you can share them to us at tribal-liaison@waterboards.ca.gov. I know there was some confusion with it being tribal.liaison. It's a hyphen. Or you can also send them to us by our mail address, which is P.O. Box 100 at Sacramento, California. So if there are any questions, we'd be happy to answer them about the policy itself or the water boards in general. And I'll go check that.
Okay. So again, it's meant as a supplemental document to the Cali PA tribal policy. It is water board specific and enhances and supplements that Cali PA document. One of the things that we have in there is that we're looking to have liaisons in each of our, or folks in each of our regional boards and divisions and offices that we can go to with tribal matters. Just managing the tribal work statewide is more than one person can do, and we want to make sure that we have a go-to person that we can provide information to, provide resources to, and that can be informing us as to things that are going on within the regions, divisions, and offices. We think that that will help us in tracking tribal activities, and I think will be good in the long run.
It didn't pop up on that email, but Josh CC'd me, so luckily I've got it. But he said, reviewing the draft tribal consultation policy, it indicates that your plan is to continue to solicit from the Cali-PA TAC, action plan number 1. However, the great majority of tribes do not work with or report to Cali-PA. They coordinate with federal EPA Region 9 personnel. Has any/willing any effort be made to coordinate with Region 9 EPA folks?
So in that regard, we are part of the RTOC meetings. The Regional Tribal Operation Committee meetings are quarterly. We attend those in person. We have good relations with the US EPA tribal coordinators, and we'll continue to make sure that they know what we're doing, and we'll continue that relationship. We recognize that there are tribal representatives on that Cali-PA TAC that may not represent your interests. Please feel free to continually work with us. I serve as the tribal liaison. Angela assists me in that role. You can always bring concerns or questions directly to us. I will provide my email. My direct email address is my first name dot last name at waterboards.ca.gov. So gita.kapai@waterboards.ca.gov. Feel free to contact us directly if you have any particular concerns, but I do acknowledge your concern that the Cali-PA TAC does not necessarily represent all interests. The folks that serve on that committee represent folks that are in Northern California, Southern California, federally recognized tribes and non-federally recognized tribes, but we do understand that it is not necessarily representative, and no one person speaks for you. So please feel free to reach out directly to us. We will continue working with the federal, with the U.S. Region 9 folks and you as well. Any other comments or?
No, I mean, it was brought to our attention at the RINCON meeting that while we do use the RTOC as a good means to gather information, that the RTOC representatives may not also be representative of your tribe or a tribe's interest. But as Gita had mentioned, it's a good opportunity for us to gather information, but our Cali-PA TAC meetings are open to any and everybody, so.
And that's another point too, is that while the federal, while US EPA only works with federally recognized tribes, our Cali-PA policy and our water board's policy is to work with all tribes regardless of their status, so both federally recognized and non-recognized tribes.
We have another comment from Josh regarding action plan item 3. There are already several agencies that provide training, outreach, operation certification, and technical assistance to tribes. The Indian Health Service, EPA Region 9, RCAC, Cal Rural Water, and ITCA. I'd suggest that you reach out and include us in these efforts to prevent duplicative efforts and to best coordinate our resources.
Okay, that's a good comment. We will coordinate with these other activities, and I encourage everyone to send us your comments in writing so that we can make sure we capture them and they're part of our record. So we will note this right now, but again, thank you for that. That is a good suggestion, and we'll note that down. Okay.
On back and forth.
So while we check the computer, we're kind of chief cook and bottle washer here today. A little bit of everything. Any other general questions or comments? Mm. Nothing? Okay. We'll be done early. But we do have another agency that's going to do some presentation as well. So you get two for today. Any other legal things? Okay. So again, the comment period is till the end of the month. Oh, one more thing I should note is that we just got confirmation this morning. We're going to have an information item on this little P policy before our board on December the 11th. We're adding it to the agenda. So it will be presented there. The board members are aware of this policy. We've briefed them, but we will provide them with whatever comments we received from during this comment period, and let them know what amendments we've made to the draft policy and what we're proposing to finish by the end of the year, hopefully. So again, all state agencies are expected to complete a tribal policy. This is our effort. It was kind of an unwritten thing, but by the end of the calendar year, they were hoping to have that. With the new administration coming in, this is something part of the old administration, but I'm sure that there are likely to be continued actions with regards to tribal engagement. So given that, my hope is to have it signed from both our executive director and our chair, Felicia, by December 31st, pending any minor or major modifications. Again, it's a little P policy, so we're not asking for adoption. It's a guidance for staff. So, and it will, similar to the Cali PA policy that has a protocol document with more details and guidance for staff, we hope to put something like that together as well. And that will come out in the months following the final policy. Welcome, Donna. Yes, Craig. Yeah, please, for those on the web. Thank you. Thanks.
On page 12, I don't know what section it is, but it's paragraph 10 at the very top there. It talks about developing MOUs and MOAs between the board or boards and the staff or the tribes on various items. Is the idea that typically those, when and if those are completed, would those become a part of your sub page, the web page, that with all the other information? In other words, would they be publicly accessible? Is this something that has to be approved by the state board in a formal way?
Let Lily respond. Is your microphone on?
So in general, I mean, these documents will be public records. They'll be either approved by the board or by the executive director or other staff under delegated authority. I would expect that we'll be able to post them. Since this is an agreement with another sovereign government, their preferences are equally relevant, so we'll sort all of that out as part of the MOU negotiation process.
But yeah, there are certain conversations, though, because of confidentiality, we make sure that we respect the tribal confidentiality. So some things are public record and some are not, but these MOUs, of course, would be agreements, so yes.
I got it, and I appreciate that clarification. And where I'm coming from is my clients typically are regulated parties interested in mercury-related items, and to the extent that there are opportunities, I'm thinking if there is an idea that a tribe or a group of tribes want to do studies related to consumption patterns, use patterns, and so forth, to the extent those become publicly known, those programs, there might be a way to get money to help augment whatever resources are available to
Right.
do those. That's where I'm coming from.
Okay, that would be great. And so you're aware of the fish consumption study that was done prior to, well, UC Davis did a consumption study, and it was part of the Delta Mercury. And anyways, it helped shape the work that was done as part of the Mercury Amendment. And yeah, so by all means, that'd be great. We will make sure that we talk to the Mercury folks, and as these things happen, that you're aware of what's going on, and maybe there could be partnerships for sure. Yeah. Any other comments? We'll check the web again.
Otherwise, for the time being, I've put these pages up there so that way folks can find our page and find where the policy is housed. If you're on the Water Board's homepage and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's a link that says Tribal Affairs, and you click on that and it'll take you to our Tribal Relations Office of Public Participation page. On there, it has Gita and I's contact information, the PDF of the draft tribal consultation policy, and if we do intend, or if we do, which it sounds like, end up holding a Southern California workshop, probably at RINCON, we will post the date, the time, all of that information on there. We have a little column on the right side of that page that is events and other useful information on here.
Let me get your microphone for those on the web.
Thank you. I'm Donna Begay. I work for the State Water Resource Control Board, but I also was talking to my tribal chair just last night, and he wanted to know if there's anything that he should be responding to. And I said, yeah, the consultation. So it gave me a couple talking points, and he's going to put it on our letterhead.
Yep.
I just want to convey this. First, overall, the policy looks pretty good. You know, I know that I worked on the Cal EPA tribal advisory policy there in the consultation process, but just want to point out a few things, I guess, when we talked about just using the consistency of California Native American tribes throughout the document, that would work for us. The definition of California Native American tribes looks good. Appreciate the inclusion of non-federally recognized tribes as listed with the Native American Heritage Commission. Our tribe, being Tabatalabo, are not federally recognized, so we appreciate that inclusion. Communication, the section on communication, probably be encouraged to let folks know that there is a listserv, tribal issues. Maybe folks want to follow that. I mean, somewhere in there, I don't know how you would word it, but you know, I think that's a pretty standing way to connect with issues in the water board. I'm not sure in the narrative of what you're gathering from other tribes, but our tribe straddles 2 of your regions. So we have 10 tribal allotments, and I guess Region 5 and Region 6. So I guess there's got to be some, perhaps just a statement that tribal, prehistoric, and current cultural affiliation areas may span across multiple State Water Resource Control Board regions, something to that effect, comma, whatever you want to say about that. How do you want to work, or how would you like to have the water board work with the tribes in the event that they straddle or they have multiple areas of influence, we call. Sometimes we don't use territory, the term territories. You know, you guys use regions, but just be considerate of that somewhere in the narrative. And then perhaps, I always encourage this, but some type of annual reporting. You've done a lot of great work out of your office, Gita, your staff, and I also know that the Water Board has been very supportive of tribal nations in California. But there's work to be done, but there's also been work that has been done. And I think it's important to capture some of that. And then the statutory references, I didn't see Senate Bill 18 reference in there. That was in 2004, Burton, but I'm sure it's part of one of the statutory references. I did see AB 52 reference in there. That was in 2014. So I know SB 18 plays a major portion of the original CEQA Act of California. Well, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Donna. That's very helpful. And I think, Craig, you're part of that tribal listserv, right? Or did you know about it? Okay, so there is a tribal listserv. We encourage you to sign up.
Oh, folks on the web can't see it, but it's at the top right of the Tribal Relations webpage where it says subscribe directly to the Tribal Matters email list. So taking you back, if you're on the Water Board's homepage and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, this is just one way you can find it. You can find it on another way, but you click on Tribal Matters and then you go to our page, the top right where it has that little email envelope. You click on that and you can just submit your email and it'll send you any notifications that we send out through that.
Yeah, and Donna, you, if I could encourage you to submit the comments by writing, that would be helpful. But they're all great suggestions, and some of it may be more appropriate for, like, maybe some statements within the policy itself, but others within the companion document that will be more of a guidance to staff on the nitty gritty. When a tribe spans more than one region, this is what you must do. So I see more clarification in that kind of thing, but the policy kind of is an overarching document to supplement the Child Day one. But thank you. Okay, I think that we'll check the web one more time, but we now have the privilege of having information on another draft tribal consultation policy. Oh, okay. Do you want to read out the?
Yeah. On page 8, you may want to change the definition of reservations as not all reservation land is in trust.
Okay. So we'll work with our legal eagles to change that.
And then Eagle Jones has said, thank you for your commitment to deliver another consultation workshop in Southern California. I support and echo all the comments of Josh Sims from IHS.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Eagle. So again, we will make sure that you are aware of the date and the location of the next one. We're working with Sandra at Rincon to provide a location, and we'll be there in the next 3 weeks for sure. And likewise, if there are other folks that need us to come to them, whether Northern California, we didn't get a lot of participation in Northern California. If you know of people that we need to reach, we will make a commitment to going there very, very soon. But again, the end of the year is coming soon, and our hope is to get this done fairly quickly, barring any major concerns or comments. We'll be making modifications in the coming weeks and then putting out a final draft very, very soon. Any other web ones? Okay, so if you are on the web, stay tuned for the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment presentation, and then following that, I'll let you sit here. Following that, then if there are any other general comments or questions, we'll take those as well. Bear with us.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for letting us hitchhike on announcing our draft consultation policy. My name is Wes Smith. I'm a staff toxicologist with OEHHA, and our mission is to protect and enhance the health of Californians and our state's environment through scientific evaluations that inform, support, and guide regulatory and other actions. And just a short sample of some of the activities we're involved with one being to measure health and environmental effects of climate change, with the picture over here illustrating a recent report that was released titled Indicators of Climate Change in California, and also measuring impacts of pollution on vulnerable communities, one of those efforts being CalEnviroScreen. And we also assess health risks posed by chemicals, for example, found in air, drinking water, and sport fish. And also some of our activities support programs of other Cal EPA agencies through assessments and measurements, with all risk assessments for air and drinking water being some of the primary roles there. So a brief background on our draft tribal consultation policy. Our policy, again, is similar and kind of an extension and more specific to OEHHA. It's an extension of the agency, Cal EPA's policy. And some of the programs that may be of interest to tribes are our sport fish consumption program, harmful algal blooms, communities which are disproportionately impacted by pollution, and also climate change impacts. OEHHA does not act as a lead agency under the California Environmental Quality Act, so we have no ground disturbing activities. We generally function more of a supportive role. So some of the action items for our policy include training of OEHHA managers and staff to make them more aware of tribal issues as they arise in some of their projects, and also to be aware of those issues so they can communicate more appropriately with the tribes. And also taking a collaborative approach to sharing technical information, because we have a lot of programs that collect information, whether it be from literature or from different studies. And also providing assistance when requested, and improving outreach on issues of interest. We broadly disseminate our information through websites and different media, but if someone is aware of a specific group that would like that information, we're more than happy to try and increase that outreach and provide more information. And if a consultation is requested, OEHHA will follow the Cal EPA's consultation protocol. We don't have our own protocol, but we will just follow the agency's protocol. And then just an example of one of our collaborative efforts with Clear Lake, we updated the Clear Lake fish consumption advisory, in which we consulted with tribal environmental professionals to include some species that would not ordinarily be collected and assessed for contaminant levels, but there were some species which were included for Clear Lake that were important for tribes around that area, just to increase, and we're trying to do that with more advisories as they come out. And we recently hit about 100 advisories and trying to increase that yearly. So the updated advisory is shown at right. So we would appreciate comments by December 10th, and the email is listed in the orange area. Amy Dunn is our tribal liaison. So if you want to email amy.dunn@oehha.ca.gov. And we also have a newly developed tribal policy website. And if you can go to the link that's shown here. And then I also have some flyers for people who are here. And you can also download the flyers that I printed out on the website we have. So that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Wes. Are there copies of the draft tribal policy at the back room as well?
I didn't bring those. They are
That's
online though.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Any comments on the web? And are you doing any other outreach?
This is our only planned outreach to date.
Okay. And when are you planning on finalizing your document?
I'm not sure the exact date, but we're accepting comments till December 10th.
Perfect. We'll give it a couple more minutes and then we'll wrap it up. For those of you on the web, Eagle, I know that you're very interested in a Southern California outreach. If you wouldn't mind emailing us some dates that are specifically good for you, we'll try and work around those dates for your availability to make sure that you can be part of our continued outreach. And likewise, if you know of other folks that might be interested in attending, please spread the word so that we get good participation. I know that some of the power outages have impacted some of you down there in terms of participation to date. Similarly, if any of you know of some Northern California venues or folks that we should reach out to, we want to make sure that we do reach as many people as possible, so any information or suggestions would be appreciated. Do you folks from financial assistance want to say anything on some of your programs or stuff that you have available? No, not right now. I didn't want to put you on the spot. And Donna has provided us with maps and great information that helps our staff. We've got a map of tribes by our regional board boundaries, which is helpful. It's on our website. We're continually trying to develop more information and resources for both our staff and for tribal governments as well. There's a brochure at the back of the room on funding opportunities for tribes. Our Citizens Guide has a section on tribal engagement, and hopefully the addition of our tribal policy will be more resources for both our staff and others. We're planning educational opportunities as well, and I do appreciate the comments that were given earlier. We will look at other venues for combining efforts, but we feel that part of our core curricula should include tribal sensitivity training for all staff. So we're working on getting that done as well. I think that we're probably wrapping it up. Any more questions or comments on the web?
Amy Dunn clarified that although we don't have events planned, if any tribes would like to meet with us, please let us know. And she provided her email. It's the same one that's posted up there. It's amy.dunn@oeha.ca.gov.
Okay. With that, I appreciate all of your participation. Thank you very much. Thank you for those of you on the web. We will be in contact to plan another event, and stay tuned. And we hope to see you at December the 11th at the Tribal Policy Informational item at the board. Thank you.